I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. Well, thank you all so much for joining me in studying A Course in Miracles, published by Foundation for Inner Peace. At least that's the version we're reading from today, this year. Lesson 93 here on Tuesday, or 94, Wednesday, April the 3rd of 2024. I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks. I am as God created me. Today we continue with the one idea which brings complete salvation. The one statement which makes all forms of temptation powerless. The one thought which renders the ego silent and entirely undone. You are as God created you. You are as God created you. The sounds of this world are still. The sights of this world disappear, and all the thoughts that this world ever held are wiped away forever by this one idea. Here is salvation accomplished. Here is sanity restored. I am as God created me. True light is strength, and strength is sinlessness. If you remain as God created you, you must be strong, and light must be in you. He who ensured your sinlessness must be the guarantee of strength and light as well. You are as God created you. Darkness cannot obscure the glory of God's Son. You stand in light, strong in the sinlessness in which you were created, and which you will remain throughout eternity. Today we will again devote the first 5 minutes of each waking hour to the attempt to feel the truth in you. Begin these times of searching with these words: I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. Now try to reach the Son of God in you. This is the self that never sinned, nor made an image to replace reality. This is the self that never left its home in God to walk the world uncertainly. This is the self that knows no fear, nor could conceive of loss or suffering or death. Nothing is required of you to reach this goal except to lay all idols and self-images aside. Go past the list of attributes, both good and bad, you have ascribed to yourself, and wait in silent expectancy for the truth. God has Himself promised that it will be revealed to all who ask for it. You are asking now. You cannot fail, because He cannot fail. If you do not meet the requirement of practicing for the first 5 minutes of every hour, at least remind yourself hourly, I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. Tell yourself frequently today that you are as God created you, and be sure to respond to anyone who seems to irritate you with these words: You are as God created you. You are His Son eternally. Make every effort to do the hourly exercises today. Each one you do will be a giant stride toward your release and a milestone in learning the thought system which this course sets forth. So we're going to just tell ourselves every hour, try to take 5 minutes at the top of every hour to say, God, I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. And if the word son doesn't work for you, perhaps for a lot of women that might not feel comfortable for them, you're welcome to say daughter say, I am as God created me. I am his daughter eternally. Or you might say, I am as God created me. I am his child eternally. Whatever works for you. The idea of son is everything that God created. It's really not used in the term of a masculine sense. It's the creation of God is his son, his firstborn, his only born. Everything is God. Okay, I am as God created me. And if someone does disturb you and kind of get you ruffled up or upset, irritated in any way, tell them you are as God created you. You are his child eternally. Okay, let's go look in our text reading. Waking to redemption, which is Roman numeral 6 in chapter 11, God or the ego. And as you're turning there, let's see what's going on around the world from holidays and observances. I'm not going to read all of them today. I'm just going to pick a few. Armenian Appreciation Day. Armenia, southwestern Asia, almost into Europe, south of the Caucasus Mountains, if I remember right. Anyway, Armenian Appreciation Day. So we'll use the word for peace from Armenia today. Khaghaghut'yun. Khaghaghut'yun. Best I can pronounce it. That's what I'm thinking it is. Khaghaghut'yun. Don't go to work unless it's fun day, or World Party Day. And I mentioned the other day, we should always be passionate about what we do. We want to be, have our whole heart in everything we do. Don't have a job just because you need the money. I mean, there may be times where that's what you have to do, and so if it is, be cheerful that you have a job. But try to move yourself in the direction of doing what you truly are inspired to be doing every day. Fan Dance Day, those fan dances of Japan. Find a Rainbow Day. Always look for rainbows. And it's National Day of Hope, or Childhelp National Day of Hope. National Walking Day. That's from the National Heart Association. Get out and do some exercise. A good friend of mine who was kind of a farmer mentor of mine and spiritual encourager, Roy Bradford, his wife Mary. Roy's gone on to the unseen world, but Roy used to say, you know what the best exercise is, don't you? I said, what's that, Roy? He said, gardening. So take a walk day or go work in your garden. Pony Express Day. You know that Pony Express only lasted 18 months from this day in 1860. And that's when the telegraph cut it short. Telegraph poles for the transcontinental telegraph line was set up. Weed Out Hate Day. I like to think that is Be Thoughtful and Kind Day. And the word kind, I think, is really underrated. When you love your neighbor as yourself, they're the same as you. They're the same kind as you. So we want to treat them the way we treat ourselves. So we treat them kindly. So, the word kind is, basically you're treating people the way you want to be treated. So let's Weed Out Hate Day, or another way of saying it, let's be Thoughtful and Kind Day, which ought to be every day. Okay, in our edible landscaping, we're going to take a look at the Prok American Persimmon, and it is a Diospyros virginiana, large fruiting, mild flavor, ripening very early before fall frost at the nursery in Virginia, Zone 7. Will drop when ready to eat. Could be the best native persimmon for the early season for sale or home use. A great choice for Zone 5 since it ripens its fruits before it gets too cold. Space 20-foot circles, Zones 5 through 8. And then in Permaculture for Beginners by Carrie Mitchell, the next section in Chapter 5, which is plant placement, is biologic control. In permaculture, we do not use unnatural pharmacological chemical controls for pests or weeds, but rather natural processes for biological control. So you may use certain plants to achieve a desired end. For instance, and I looked these up, if you're having a problem with deer and you want to plant things and deer keep pulling them out of the ground, like I try to plant pine trees, well, here's some things, and deer seem to get them. That green shows up around here really nice, and they tend to pull them out. Well, you could plant rosemary, the alliums, allium. Basically, those are a type of what are they? Onions. What else? Calendula. All those things will keep deer away. I'll put a link in the description below. Showed over 24 different plants that'll keep deer away. And then, or maybe potato beetle control, which I found out that catnip, marigold, nasturtium, coriander, onion, and tansy will tend to rid potato beetle away. Found that on Bonnie Plants. I'll put a link to that too, and I'll put that link to the deer in the description too. And it was from, where was it? House Beautiful is where that came from. Okay, now let's go look at our text reading, and we'll take along with us our idea, which, what is it? I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. Okay, so in chapter 11, section 6, it is impossible not to believe what you see, but it is equally impossible to see what you do not believe. Perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to beliefs. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perceptions stabilize. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. That is what I meant when I said, "Blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see it." And that's a quote Jesus made, recorded in John chapter 20, verse 29. Blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see it. The resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, not by attack, but by transcendence. For Christ does rise above the ego and all its works, and ascends to the Father and his kingdom. Paragraph 2. Would you join in the resurrection or the crucifixion? Would you condemn your brothers or free them? Would you transcend your prison and ascend to the Father? These questions are all the same and are answered together. There has been much confusion about what perception means because the word is used both for awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. Yet you cannot be aware without interpretation, for what you perceive is your interpretation. 3. This course is perfectly clear. If you do not see it clearly, it is because you are interpreting against it, and therefore do not believe it. And since belief determines perception, you do not perceive what it means and therefore do not accept it. Yet different experiences lead to different beliefs, and with them different perceptions. For perceptions are learned with beliefs, and experience does teach. I am leading you to a new kind of experience that you will become less and less willing to deny. Learning of Christ is easy, for to perceive with him involves no strain at all. His perceptions are your natural awareness, and it is only the distortions you introduce that tire you. Let the Christ in you interpret for you, and do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs that are unworthy of God's Son. For until Christ comes into his own, the Son of God will see himself as fatherless. 4. I am your resurrection and your life. You live in me because you live in God, and everyone lives in you as you live in everyone. Can you then perceive unworthiness in a brother and not perceive it in yourself? And can you perceive it in yourself and not perceive it in God? Believe in the resurrection because it has been accomplished, and it has been accomplished in you. This is as true now as it will ever be, for the resurrection is the will of God, which knows no time and no exceptions. But make no exceptions yourself, or you will not perceive what has been accomplished for you. For we ascend unto the Father together, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. For such is the nature of God's Son, as his Father created him. 5. Do not underestimate the power of the devotion of God's Son, nor the power the God he worships has over him. For he places himself at the altar of his God, whether it be the God he made or the God who created him. That is why his slavery is as complete as his freedom, for he would obey only the God he accepts. The God of crucifixion demands that he crucify, and his worshipers obey. In other words, see yourself or others as guilty, and you're going to, condemn. Start seeing yourself and others as innocent, all of us together, and we'll quit crucifying each other and ourselves. In his name they crucify themselves, believing that the power of the Son of God is born of sacrifice and pain. The God of resurrection demands nothing, for he does not will to take away. He does not require obedience, for obedience implies submission. He would only have you learn your will and follow it, not in the spirit of sacrifice and submission, but in the gladness of freedom. Resurrection must compel your allegiance gladly, because it is the symbol of joy. Resurrection must compel your allegiance gladly, because it is the symbol of joy. Its whole compelling power lies in the fact that it represents what you want to be. The freedom to leave behind everything that hurts you and humbles you and frightens you cannot be thrust upon you, but it can be offered you through the grace of God, and you can accept it by his grace. For God is gracious to his Son, accepting him without question as his own. Who then is your own? The Father has given you all that is his, and he himself is yours with him. Guard them in their resurrection, for otherwise you will not awake in God, safely surrounded by what is yours forever. Paragraph 7. You will not find peace until you have removed the nails from the hands of God's Son and taken the last thorn from his forehead. The love of God surrounds his Son, whom the God of crucifixion condemns. Teach not that I died in vain. Teach rather that I did not die, but Teach rather that I did not die by demonstrating that I live in you. For the undoing of the crucifixion of God's Son is the work of the redemption, in which everyone has a part of equal value. God does not judge his guiltless Son. Having given himself to him, how could it be otherwise? 8. You have nailed yourself to a cross and placed a crown of thorns upon your own head. Yet you cannot crucify God's Son, for the will of God cannot die. His will has been redeemed from his own crucifixion, and you cannot assign to death whom God has given eternal life. The dream of crucifixion still lies heavy on your eyes, but what you see in dreams is not reality. While you perceive the Son of God as crucified, you are asleep. And as long as you believe that you can crucify him, you're only having nightmares. You who are beginning to wake are still aware of dreams and have not yet forgotten them. The forgetting of dreams and the awareness of Christ come with the awakening of others to share your redemption. 9. You will awaken to your own call, for the call to awake is within you. The call to awake is within you. You will awaken to your own call, for the call to awake is within you. If I live in you, you are awake. Yet you must see the works I do through you, or you will not perceive that I have done them unto you. Do not set limits on what you believe I can do through you, or you will not accept what I can do for you. Yet it is done already, and unless you give all that you have received, you will not know that your Redeemer liveth, and that you have awakened with him. Redemption is recognized only by sharing it. Redemption is recognized only by sharing it. You want to be redeemed? Well, then see everyone as innocent. Do your lesson today. I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. And if anyone you don't think is redeemed comes along, say to them, you are God's son. You are God's son eternally. You are as God created you. You are God's son eternally. Okay, in the last paragraph, God's son is saved. Bring only this awareness to the sonship, and you will have a part in the redemption as valuable as mine, says Jesus. For your part must be like mine if you learn it of me. If you believe that yours is limited, you are limiting mine. There is no order of difficulty in miracles, because all of God's sons are of equal value, and their equality is their oneness. The whole power of God is in every part of him, and nothing contradictory to his will is either great or small. What does not exist has no size and no measure. To God all things are possible, and to Christ it is given to be like the Father. Okay, well, let's go back and look at our lesson for today as we close. Let's remind ourselves what we're to do in our practice periods. It says, today we will again devote the first 5 minutes of each waking hour to the attempt to feel the truth in you. Begin these times of searching with these words: I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. Now try to reach the Son of God in you. This is the self that never sinned, nor made an image to replace reality. This is the self that never left its home in God to walk the world uncertainly. This is the self that knows no fear, nor could conceive of loss or suffering or death. Nothing is required of you to reach this goal except to lay all idols and self-images aside. Go past the list of attributes, both good and bad, you have ascribed to yourself, and wait in silent expectancy for the truth. Wait in silent expectancy with an open mind for the truth. God has himself promised that it will be revealed to all who ask for it. You are asking now. You cannot fail because he cannot fail. If you do not meet the requirement of practicing for the first 5 minutes of every hour, at least remind yourself hourly, I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. So he's giving you kind of you can still succeed, even if you can't set your day up where you can take 5 minutes every hour. You're working for somebody, they're not probably going to want you to say, hey, I got to stop for 5 minutes this hour, right in the middle of, holding a truss up and getting ready to nail it. Go, oh, the clock just went off, time for my meditation. But you can say it in your mind as you're nailing that truss up or whatever you're working at. Tell yourself frequently today that you are as God created you, and be sure to respond to anyone who seems to irritate you with these words: you are as God created you. You are his son eternally. Make every effort to do the hourly exercises today. Each one you do will be a giant stride toward your release, and a milestone in learning the thought system which this course sets forth. Wow, some encouragement to do your lessons. He's not requiring us to do any long 15 or 20-minute meditations twice a day or whatever. Instead, he just wants to do a bunch of short ones for 5 minutes all through the day. So every hour you get a chance, take that 5 minutes. And the hours you don't get a chance, but at least tell yourself, I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. Respond to anyone who seems to irritate you with these words. You are as God created you. You are God's Son eternally. You are as God created you. You are God's child eternally. I am as God created me. I am as Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His child eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. And if anyone's able to irritate you today, instead of it's something inside you, so don't try to change them. Instead, just say to yourself or say to them, say it in your mind to them. You are God. You are as God created you. You are God's child eternally, or you are God's son eternally, or you're God's daughter eternally, whatever works best for you in the situation. Throughout the day, every hour of the day, and try to spend 5 minutes at the top of every hour, or during that hour sometimes, and say, I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. And then let go of all the preconceived notions of who you thought you were, those idols. Let it all go with that open mind. Find the truth about yourself, that you are as God created you. You are His child, His son, His daughter, eternally. And our word for peace in Armenian is khaghaghut'yun. Khaghaghut'yun. I am as God created me. I am His Son eternally. Khaghaghut'yun.